Welcome to Dr. TSPR show. This is Dr. Tangella Shiva Prasad Reddy alias Dr. TSPR. Namaste, Adab, hello. Let me first introduce you the guest of today, Mr. Aloke Lal ji. He is an IPS officer, served as Director General of Police in both Uttar Pradesh as well as Uttarakhand. And we are very fortunate to have Mr. Aloke Lal IPS on our show on a very pertinent and important topic of the day. Why I say this is so important for this day? Because let us recall November 8, 2016. The Honorable Prime Minister of India, while announcing demonetization, he was very categorical and clear, stating that out of the three, the first one was black money, to root out black money. The second evil was the drugs menace. And third, the electoral reforms, which have not seen the day of. So, very pertinent, very important for India's surge, because India's strength is the youngsters, the young populace around 29 years, as the entire world has come to label India as having the average age of around 29 years. That is wonderful. Then what is happening? Why this drug menace? Because they are getting afflicted by vices. It has become a fashion, then into passion, destroying the present and future of such wonderful youth of India. Getting carried away. The haves had these vices, became a passion. Now it has reached the huts also, wherein youngsters are getting into this nasha called drug addiction in a big way, along with alcohol. And we are watching, seeing these unforeseen, unheard crimes on even small kids. They are raped and murdered very inhumanly, and the old alike. This passion has become a scourge of the society. That is the reason why we have taken this topic, and we will be doing series with Mr. Aloke Lal IPS. Let me just give you a brief introduction of our honorable guest. Sir, welcome to this special show. Before I briefly introduce you to the people of India, world at large. Aloke Lal is a former Indian police service officer whose exploits have won him accolades from many quarters, including 2 medals awarded by the President of India, one for long and meritorious services and the other for distinguished services. There lay the qualities, credibilities of our guest. He served in the states of Uttar Pradesh and Uttarakhand and had the reputation of a no-nonsense crusader against crime. Apart from having risen to the highest echelon of Director General, he held key postings in the crime-infested belts of Kanpur, Lucknow, Barabanki, which has become very famous after retirement. He has come out with a book also, how he encountered drug cartels and how he could finish them off. Wonderful. Pilbhit and Moradabad. His experience of dealing with the drug mafia and dacoits is not reviled by many. His efforts in Barabanki district of Uttar Pradesh brought him rich rewards, where he intercepted huge quantities of contraband opium to set up a world record of recovery of the drug. His first book, The Barabanki Narcos, published by Hatchet, revolves around his exploits in Barabanki. The book is all set to be made into a major web series. His upcoming book, The Kanpur Inferno, co-authored by Manas Lal, will be published in 2021. by Bloomsbury. Post-retirement from the IPS, Aloke Lal served as the advisor to the governor of Uttarakhand and as a member of CAG Committee of the State, Computer Auditor General. He is currently a member of the Constitutional Conduct Group, which consists of some of the best known legal luminaries and respected bureaucrats of the country who retired after rendering sterling service to the nation in different spheres. Lal is a painter. He's got passion. His passion is for painting. He's a painter who has held many exhibitions of his art and has received critical acclaim for his work. His works have traveled to the Rockefeller Center in New York and the Paralympics at the Graz in Austria, apart from a number of galleries in India. Aloke Lal did a Master of Technology degree from IIT and earned a gold medal for securing the top position. He was a quiz master on Doordarshan and has been frequently appearing as a guest on television debates, and one of these channels also very fortunate to host him. Aloke Lal is a prolific columnist and has hundreds of articles on a vast range of subjects to his credit. He is also a TEDx speaker. Aloke Lal lives in Dehradun, a quaint town in the foothills of the Himalayas, with his wife and artist son. Sir, welcome to this special show. Thanks a lot for accepting our invitation.
Thank you very much.
Brief
You
words.
have been very generous, Doctor.
Wonderful, sir. Wonderful to have you. Such a multifaceted personality after a long, long time. With due respects to all my wonderful guests. Before I just show what is happening in the world, few words from your side before I just show what is happening, and then we will get into the subject proper.
Dr. Shiva Prasad Reddy, sir. Thank you very much for the very generous introduction. Yes, indeed, it has been a passion for me to be of some use to the society. And as a police officer, whatever inputs I could make in that direction, I did. But now that I'm a retired IPS officer, I continue to have the sense that my services in whatever form should continue to serve the people who have given me so much love, so much respect, and so much trust. So, having said this, my concern for seeing that people are weaned away from what you call it a stigma or something for people who have the habit of taking drugs. I will clarify during the course of today's interaction that it is basically a medical situation. It is a illness. It is a sickness. It has its own symptoms and it has to be treated like a sickness. And therefore, we have to look at it from that point of view. So I'm so glad that this program is being held on a matter which is so current, and it unfortunately is very relevant to today's India, because drug addiction is going up. We know that more and more youngsters are joining this group of people who are taking drugs. And so it is important that we should examine the whole issue closely,
Yes.
and then address the problem in a very constructive manner. So thank you very much for giving me this chance, because this will help us spread awareness about the problem. Not many people are aware of what exactly it is. And so let us examine the problem closely and try and find solutions to the problems that we face.
Wonderful,
Thank you.
sir. Wonderful. So that's why we are starting this series with those who got hit. So we are going to start series with Mr. Aloke Lal IPS. But are those your paintings which are dotting your background?
Dr. Shiva Prasad, I cannot hear you properly.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Right. No
Your
problem.
voice is breaking again and again.
Okay. I'll just try to. Are those paintings done by you? The background ones? Is it clear, sir? Yeah, we'll try to connect him. The background paintings, I was talking about the background paintings dotting your screen.
I can't hear you, sorry.
The paintings dotting the background done by you. Right, I'll come back to you. Let me just share
Just
some
a
of.
minute, I'll try
No problem, sir.
without the.
I'll try to share now what is happening in and around.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Are you able to watch the screen?
Can't hear you. Okay, his voice is breaking on the camera.
That earphones, sir, earphones if you can take out. Let me just play you what is happening around. Trying to bring you some latest videos of what is happening in Bollywood, Mumbai. We are trying to play some videos which are there in the public domain to sensitize people, and this was what happened in Hyderabad also, drug racket, how it went on. It targeted even school children. All youngsters are being. A quick look at what is happening across India. So schools, colleges, very pathetic situation, and that is the reason why we are just trying to show you what has been going around.
Yes, Doctor, the fact remains that
Yeah.
there is a problem of drug menace spreading all over the country, and therefore we must look very closely at it.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that in this particular selection of videos, you have not shown anything about the huge recovery which was made recently from one of the ports in Western India,
Yes,
in the
I'm.
Kandla port.
Yeah, I'm coming to
So
that,
that
sir.
was the most major recovery in a long time. You concentrated a lot on the videos concerning the Bollywood actors and actresses.
No, sir, I'm
While
coming
I
to that.
understand that
I'm,
Bollywood actors, sorry,
I'm coming to that also. That port also, I'm trying to
yeah,
bring out that picture. And then there was a statement by even Bishop, Pala Bishop, narco
yeah,
jihad, he stated. So I'm just trying to bring out everything because we need to put the facts out now. There is no question of, and
yeah,
then this latest from 4 years it ran, and they were given the Tollywood in actors in Telangana, they were given a clean sheet by the court. So these were all. That's why I just trying to bring one after the other, and then that huge recovery. That coast also we are trying to show you. Money laundering probe into seizure of 3,000 kgs heroin at Gujarat port. So like that, there are many things, sir, many things which I am trying to show, bring it to the public. How can these things go unnoticed? This is really, this is reached. This is what Kerala Bishop, I'm not going to play that. He made a remark. It became a big controversy because it was trying to hit.
I know about that. Yes.
Yeah, and then this is the latest one again, which we just received. These are all there in the public domain for people to just go through.
Yeah, everybody has seen that.
Yeah. Right, this is about the officer. So this is about the officer who is in contention, Mr. Wankade. So these are some of the videos which I thought I'll just show, and some of the headlines which I thought I'll put it across so that we can straight away get into the discussion. And of late also there was 4 years it ran the case, which I was just trying to. I'm not able to open this. Cinema stars were there, others were there in this case, but it ran for 4 years, and then after that they get a clean sheet. God knows how, and they did not even target the government. That the best part is, they did not file a defamation case against the government.
See, how things happen in a court of law is something that we can only comment on if we know all the facts.
Yes, sir.
See, if I may say so, the media hypes up a few things and doesn't report at all some of the other things.
Yep.
So the perception that the viewer makes, or the perception that the newspaper reports give to the reader, may not exactly be the accurate situation that exists. I'm not saying that the court has given a clean chit to people who were culprits, but this often happens. A lot of cases where all evidence appears to be pointing at the culpability of those who have been accused. Finally, for some technical reason or the other, the courts are compelled to set the accused free. So what happens in a court of law has a lot of stories within the stories, a lot of important details about which we are not aware outside the court. So we cannot really comment on what the court did in this particular case. Maybe the evidence was not sufficient. Maybe these people were actually innocent and they were wrongly implicated. There is a possibility. What I was earlier commenting was on the fact that despite the fact that we have huge recoveries, like the one you mentioned about the Gujarat port,
Yeah.
which happened only recently, we are now almost being taken to some other area so that possibly we overlook what was more important. In my opinion, the recovery of such a huge consignment in Gujarat is far, far, far more important than the recovery of small quantities from the ship where these Bollywood children were.
Yeah.
My feeling is that possibly the media is more interested in stories where the TRPs become better. And as a result of which, information about what happened to a particular film star or the film star's son is projected far more than what is more important. And when I say more important, it is the recovery in Gujarat, for instance. It is a fact that more and more school children and college children are being taken in by the addiction of drugs. You must have heard that the addiction to drugs in the campuses, all kinds of campuses, has gone up many times. And so, what is necessary is that we should understand this larger question rather than waste our time looking at these small snippets, which are more attractive, of course, because they talk about some film star. Everybody wants to know about that. But the fact remains that as a society, we have to look at the larger question. And the larger question is that yes, drugs are being consumed on a larger scale than they were earlier, and this trend is continuing. The, it is becoming cool and fashionable to take drugs. And a lot more people are being sucked into this drama of taking drugs than they were earlier. We must examine why this happens. And possibly in the course of the talks that we'll have together, we'll be able to come to some of these issues.
Wonderful. But this seizure now, because you are a DGP of a border state, and how could you get into this prominent position in the country in sphere of drug law enforcement? And what attracted you? And I want you to relate to this seizure in the western part of India, western coast. How large this seizure and how can it really engage our young India and how fatal it is going to be?
Okay. First, I'll tell you how I became interested in this particular field of activity. Very early in my life, I came across some of the students in my university and later in other campuses uh, of students very young in their 20s, early 20s, or maybe even younger,
Hmm.
who had started taking what was very popular at that time.
Hmm.
That was grass. They used to smoke their cigarettes with grass. Grass is actually a product of cannabis. So they used to take that ganja and charas and such other things. Traditionally, also, our sadhus and a lot of people, especially in North India, take ganja charas. It is common. Why I became interested was because in my own circle of acquaintances, one particular young man became seriously addicted to this. And he had to undergo treatment for it. He had to go to a psychiatric facility, stay in that psychiatric facility for months together. And when he came out, he was much better. But then there was a relapse, and he went again into that situation. So when I looked at this young man, my age, at that point in time, I was in my 20s myself. So when I looked at him, I thought that this is a problem which is bound to grow in future. And if I can invest myself in trying and finding a solution to this, I may have done my duty to the society. So that is how I was attracted. Coming to the Kandla, is it some other port in Gujarat, where they have found this huge amount of opium related products. See, the amount seized is reportedly of 20,000 crores worth or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's a huge amount. You know that this is such a huge amount that some of the smaller countries in the world do not have this worth of GDP. So just
Yes.
imagine
Yeah.
the kind of influence this money can have on the uh, on the economy of a country where it enters, because this will all be black money. This will be number two, as they say in India. दो नंबर का धंधा चलेगा, and therefore the actual currency of that country will suffer, and therefore the economy of the country will go down rapidly and very seriously. Apart from that, the individual who starts taking this drug will himself or herself be very seriously impacted because of health issues, because of the fact that such a person becomes a waste on society. Such a person cannot do anything for the society while he remains a burden on the society. The treatment of such a person also calls for a lot of expenditure, both of the state exchequer and of the individual's family. So the family is impacted very seriously when any family has a drug addict in it. The family becomes very seriously impacted. Then the community in which that young man is living. As I said, the finances of that family will go down very badly because there will be expenditure on looking after this boy. The finances will also go down because this boy will need a lot of money to buy his drugs, and drugs, as you know, don't come cheap. So he will be causing a serious damage to the finances of his own family. And then uh, this money, which is created by such huge amount of narcotics, is all black money, and this is often used for terrorism. So you might have narco terrorism is a word which is often used. Narco terrorism is where the narcotics, black money, is used for funding terrorist activities. And in a country like ours, where terrorism has been a serious issue, and we have neighbors who cannot be called very friendly and who want terrorism to grow in our country, would be only too happy to find black money finding its way into our economy. And then don't forget, while this is itself a crime, you know, while doing drugs, selling drugs, growing drugs, illicit drugs, and becoming a person who stores it, sells it, transports it, all these things are offenses. It also leads to parallel offenses alongside with it. What I mean to say is that a person who takes drugs has to get money from somewhere. And such people often become thieves or even robbers and such. And they get their money through illicit means in order to buy their own illicit drugs. So this has a huge impact on the individual, on the family, on the community, on the country as a whole, and to the health of the society in general in that particular area. So all said and done, this is a huge problem which we must acknowledge is one of those big problems. I'll read a quote
Yeah, please.
from one of the authors. He says, drugs are nihilistic. They undermine all values and radically overturn all our ideas about good and evil, just or unjust, what is permitted and what is forbidden. Now, therefore, the judgment that a sane person has is so seriously impacted that this particular individual doesn't know what is good and what is evil, what is right and what is wrong, what is permitted and what is forbidden. And such a man, you can very well understand, can never look at life positively. There will always be a negative look at such a thing. Therefore, it is important that we should keep our young men and young women also away from this kind of problems.
Yes, as you rightly said, they will become insane. The sanity will be no more prevalence in their minds or in their
Yeah,
families, in the society.
that's right.
So he's going to be a big, big, not should I say asset in a different way. But again, since your times, you have been very, you become very famous when you try to get hold of these drug cartels. Officers like you have been working And we have some wonderful officers here also. Some decades back, I was interacting with them in Hyderabad too. Wonderful officers. They were trying to see that first they attend to them, remove that stigma, get them out of it. But that has become old fashioned now because the way it has been become so rampant and prevalent. Is this because of the challenges in the enforcement of drug laws, wherein you are not given 100% free hand?
Yeah, it's not always easy to enforce drug laws. And the problem arises because the, the drug business as it is illegal. And so whatever revenues are collected through this illegal activity are black money. So this black money is so strong, it can buy anybody. You know, the, the people who have this kind of money, slush money, will go and buy anybody who is an impediment in their own activities, be it an authority working in a district, working at a higher level in the government, or even, if I may say so, our politicians. As you know, Dr. Reddy, we cannot hide this fact that our elections are based heavily on expenditure that a political party can make in an election. And therefore, black money becomes very important in elections. And elections are almost like a parallel industry in our country. Elections are happening all the time. If this election is over, the next election is due now. And once the next election comes, we'll already be looking for the third election to come. So it is almost around the clock activity throughout the year. And so money for that purpose is required. And now even the money that is deposited in the accounts of a political party is opaque now. How the money comes, who gives the money, how much money, and so on and so forth, it is all something that need not be told to people. So after that particular law has come into effect some years ago, the money that goes to political parties is all shrouded in mystery. And as one understands, some parties get more money out of the donors than the others get it. So having said this, one of the big reasons for black money to prosper in our country is the way the elections are fought here. Now coming to the challenges. If somebody has become an important authority in the government, be it a political authority, be it an official authority, an officer in the government, officer in the police department, such people who have to cater to the public at large actually also have to look after the interest of those people who are supplying them the money that they need. Simple as that. So any officer who wants to stand up to these people, who wants to see to it that such a dhanda does not prosper, will have problems. So this is one of the challenges. The other challenge is ignorance. Most people are even today not aware of what drug addiction is actually. Many people say that, what is the problem if you have taken it once or twice or thrice? It doesn't matter. Didn't our sadhus take it in the past? They take it today also. The chilam is taken, and such other smoking devices are used for ingesting what are now called psychotropic drugs. They started long ago, but don't forget, it is the use of opium in particular that was basically promoted by the British when they were ruling this part of the world.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to come to
our
that
country
actually.
also
Actually,
used opium to carry on their own nefarious activities, not only
yeah,
here,
yeah.
but in China also. So in a lot of countries around the world, the colonizing countries, the colonizing powers have misused drugs. So all said and done, black money is power and corruption. Don't forget, there is more corruption when there is more unaccounted for wealth. And when there is more unaccounted for wealth, clearly there is something which is happening in that particular country or that society which is illegal. And that illegal activity, in our case, in India and many other countries now, as you see in Afghanistan, Pakistan, in many other countries around the world, some of the some of the economies are heavily dependent on this underground activity to run their own governments. This is said of some of the countries in Africa. So the problem for the enforcers is that they are up against such a hugely powerful uh, group of people. And then when it comes to dealing with them, there is a very huge paucity of experts. Within my own department in the police, there are very few people who have been trained specifically for this purpose. Even in other departments, there are hardly any people who are experts in this. And experts have got to upgrade themselves all the time. I was lucky to have been exposed to training under the United Nations program. I was lucky to have been exposed under in a training conducted by the British Customs. So these two training courses really brought me up to the point. At that point, the interest went up, and I did my own studies, with the result that I became a little better informed than others in this. So all said and done, many of these
Yeah.
reasons can be cited for the fact that we are uphill when we are dealing with this problem.
And we hope Mr. Amit Shah, our Honorable Union Home Minister and Honorable Prime Minister and Union Cabinet is listening to you, because you are Dehradun based, where all these administrative officers first regroup for initial training, and I hope they will all take your vast experience inputs in regards to drug menace, which Honorable Prime Minister himself stated on November 8, 2016, while announcing demonetization strategy, that drug menace is the second most, it is the second scourge of this society. Then why not utilize Mr. Alok Lal, who is based in Dehradun? This is humble appeal to Mr. Amit Shah ji, Honorable Union Home Minister, because that is where from Dehradun all our Indian administrative officers train and come out. When such is the case, why not use his expertise? It is afflicting not just youth, but as he rightly pointed out, economy and the black money, which is trying to control our people participatory constitutional democracy elections too. Very bad, very pathetic. So, young
Yes, I've been
office.
conducting certain workshops in the academies where officers are trained. So to that extent, I am being able to do my inputs. Yes.
You need to, they should be on a regular plane. That is why I requested you, I had to convince you to come onto the show because of your vast experience. And then, both opium and cannabis have some historical traditions in our culture. Where does the socially acceptable consumption come in clash with undesirable consumption?
See, wherever things are legal and controlled, perhaps their situation is slightly better than where they are illegal and therefore not under control of the government agencies. Let us look at the case of liquor, that is alcoholic drinks, which are licensed, which are legal. I'm not talking about the illegal part of that. I'm talking about the legal licensed alcohol which is sold from uh, recognized outlets. After due process of the government, after all the licensing has been done, everything is controlled. And so that possibly has a lesser impact on society than what is illegal. That is the illegal drugs. Therefore, the traditional things which have been done all the time might not have been understood to have been damaging to the society. But there are any number of cases where we see that people are devotees of the so-called holy men, the sadhus and other mahants and such. And the impact and the impression that these people create on their followers is very strong. And so At times, these people have a good influence on the people who take these drugs and are able to control that. While on others, because of their own weakness for drugs, such people contribute negatively to the whole picture. Now, coming to why traditional use and why this. Why I'm saying that now the problem is greater because illicit use of opium products, illicit use of chemical drugs, now which are also above the board. They have been prescribed. The prescription drugs are also being misused. Now, more expensive drugs are being smuggled into India. It is not merely these two, cannabis and opium products, but we also get cocaine, which comes from outside India because cocaine doesn't grow in our country. We also have chemical medications which are misused, which are basically meant for relieving pain or some such other problems on prescription of a regular medical doctor. But this prescription is abused, and people go to the extent of selling this product, which is usable for the purpose of getting those kicks, becoming inebriated. These medicines are sold illegally at a much higher price than their legal price. They are under the table now, these are sold. Not at the counter, somebody else behind the counter will be selling it. So all these things are not old, these are new. These have happened now. More and more substances are being abused, and more people are being sucked into this. The other problem that we face today is that the life in families has changed a lot. You would agree with me, Dr. Reddy,
Yes.
that you and I were very closely under the supervision and monitoring of our seniors in the family.
Yes.
In those years, the families were larger.
Right.
Many of these families were joint families, where it was not merely the parents, but also the uncles and aunts who were living. There were grandparents also living. Now every unit is living differently. We have unitary family system in many places. And also a lot of youngsters have to go out now from their family folds to study elsewhere or to do their jobs elsewhere. So they are not directly under the control of elder people, and therefore there is a lot more freedom to do what they want to do. And so now the problem of drugs is therefore multiplying faster than it used to, say, about 50 years ago, 40 years ago, 30 years ago. And if you see a graph of how things have gone from bad to worse, you'll see that the intake of drugs has been increasing for various reasons within our society also.
Okay. And now let me ask you, let me put it this way. That means solitary families and then alienation. More than alienation, I would also say the Bollywood Dam Maro Dam, and the hero, all of a sudden he comes from an orphanage, or else his family is killed. Now he gets to addicted to alcohol. Now off late this charas and ganja. Cinemas have promoted. Now they promoted such type of situations in their movies. Now it is afflicting their own existence, their own future, their own kith and kin.
I'm sorry, will you repeat the question, please?
Yeah. No, I said, as you rightly pointed out, the solitariness, when you move away from joint families, they have got more freedom and no supervision to understand what is good and bad. To add, to complicate this, you have seen Dam Maro Dam scenes, how they were trying to do in movies. Is it clear?
Yeah, I can understand now.
Dam Maro Dam, and you see another cinema. Hero, either he comes from orphanage, he is into different vices, drinking or smoking, charas or something, or else his family is killed. Now he gets into negative modes wherein he gets into alcohol addiction or drug addiction. Now, don't you think these things, these people who have tried to project it on the screen to get a savvy image of the hero, is destroying their own kith and kin now, Bollywood, and now not only that, it has destroyed even the society.
Yeah, it has its own negative impact. When we see our idols, people who are looked up to as icons, when they are shown to be doing these stupid tricks on the screen, a lot of us fail to understand that this is only for the purposes of telling a story, and this is not their real lifestyle, possibly. Yet, we try to imitate what we see on the silver screen. And therefore, if there is a film which shows that the hero is fighting against these problems, that has its impact also. So I'll say that it's a mix. There are some movies where the hero is given to these weaknesses. And so, since the hero is given to these weaknesses, when the hero smokes, when the hero drinks, when the hero does all those things which you should not be doing, possibly a lot of people will like to do that. There's no doubt about that. But there's also a smaller number of films in which the hero is shown to be righteous, above board, and is behaving properly in the interest of the society, and therefore there are positive inputs. So it's a mix of both, in my opinion.
And also
As
now,
far as alienation is concerned,
yeah,
I'm I'm reminded of a song. एक अकेला इस शहर में रात में और दोपहर में आबोदाना ढूंढता है आशियाना ढूंढता है. You know, when a person is sort of plucked away from a society where he was happily prospering and goes into an area where there is hardly anybody he knows, hardly any place which he can call his own, hardly any positive activity later in the day when he is not engaged in some work. Such people are often drawn to pastimes like smoking or drinking and so on. Drinks are as bad as drugs, but at least there is a control over drinking, but there is hardly any control over drugs. So drugs are therefore a greater problem for the society than drinks are. Although you know that the number of deaths, unnatural deaths every year is increasing because of drunken driving. And a huge number, I think it's more than 60% of people who die due to unnatural causes die because of accidents when they are under the influence of either alcohol or drugs. So you can understand the the damage that these things cause to basic life, the living actually.
and not only that,
So
see,
yes,
of late now,
if a person is
yeah,
engaged in agriculture, I know of Gopal. I'll tell you the story of Gopal. There was a boy, Gopal, in a village, in a district called Sultanpur. Now, this Gopal was the part of a large family and they were growing tobacco. The tobacco is a cash crop, gives very good returns, and so the large family was well looked after. But for 2 consecutive years, they did not get enough rain. There were other problems, some kind of disease also caused a damage to the crops. And so after 2 years, in the third year, the family started to look for alternative sources of income. And Gopal was therefore looking for some kind of placement in the city nearby, that is the Sultanpur town. And obviously, jobs are not easy to come. So he was almost doing nothing and looking for a job only. And he was therefore a jobless youngster who had to fend for himself all by himself with no support from the family, which was back home in a village. So these are the kind of people who may be drawn into drugs.
who may be drawn into drugs, these type of people. And some say boredom, loneliness, because movies, and you see innumerable dramas appearing on TV, boredom, leisure, they often go to this place, that place. And don't you think even this also is become a big factor on the influencing on the minds of innocent youngsters? As you rightly said, they are now grooming away from elders, no supervision, very individualistic to the core, and now top of that these movies or dramas which you encounter daily, and now it has become a fashion also of late, smoking, and in smoking they are indulging in drugs.
See, I think it is a very much larger issue. The larger issue that the is that the level of moral upbringing has gone down. If I may say so, please don't mind my saying so.
No, no, please.
The moralistic upbringing of children has really taken a beating,
Okay.
and now earning money through illegal means has somehow or the other become an accepted thing in the society. You would recall in your young age, you must have heard of one or two people who take bribes, and therefore your parents told you not to befriend the children of those particular people. Now today, that cannot happen because almost everybody is known to be making money on the side.
Yeah.
And so the society has more or less accepted that this will happen.
Yeah.
And since they accept it, so no problems. You were talking about boredom. About boredom, Vincent Van Gogh, the great artist, said something which I must quote here. He said, I would rather die of passion than of boredom. So, yeah, he was hugely passionate as an artist. We all know what kind of art he created. We know that even today, he continues to be the most popular artist in the world. Wherever you go, people know about him. In whichever gallery, important art gallery you go, you will find his works. And so this will write very young because he was so passionate about everything that possibly that took his life away from us so early. We know these tales where he cut his own ear in passion. No, but I'm not promoting that kind of behavior. What I'm trying to say is that this is perhaps better than becoming so obsessed with your own boredom that you stop doing anything positive. So, coming to the question that you asked, that yes, you never know when a little indulgence can lead to a larger problem. It's never so that you take drug once and then you are satisfied. No. You will, even if you have not experienced pleasure in the first go, you will still like to try. कि इतने लोग ले रहे हैं. Everybody is saying it's a good thing. Why should I not try it a second time? And when you do such a thing, it grows on you.
Right.
The initial taste may not be very pleasant,
Yeah.
but then it grows on you. And it becomes very, very difficult later on to get rid of this particular attraction. And so it snowballs. You never know where it will snowball. When your one time will become two times, and when your two times will become 20 times. So there's hardly any control. I can tell you this another story, that of Ravi. Ravi was an engineering student, and his friends in the university where he was doing his engineering, some of them were taking grass, smoking grass. And so they said that we enjoy it thoroughly. Why don't you take it, Ravi? Ravi resolutely refused that, no, I don't want to take it. He refused all the time. But when he was repeatedly told that you are a Buddha, you don't fit into the society, you're not part of us, are you so scared of the world? Are you so scared of everything? Are you so scared of your parents and people and families that you are not taking this? Now, this kind of continuous cajoling did lead to him falling for the trap. So he joined those friends, not once, but he became dependent on smoking grass. And his engineering career also took a terrible hit. He couldn't clear his engineering. He had to be taken out of the institution even before he completed his 4 years. And this is the kind of damage that can happen to not just this Ravi, but many Ravis. All Ravis in the society will suffer in one way or the other
So
if they do not listen to their inner voice.
all Gopals and Ravis mind out, because it's a very good thing. Idling Gopal get attracted to drugs as a trade, and Ravis, if you don't follow the basic ethical sense of living, you become get into drug addiction. So before I say bye to you, sir, on this first series, wonderful hosting you. Two questions. Your experience, out of your experience, what would be the main reasons or causes? Is it loneliness, failure in life, or what is happening with Bollywood child? What is happening with Mr. Shah Rukh Khan's son and all those things? Still prove no one is guilty. Let me remind everyone, because we are sympathetic, empathetic, but the drug trade is going to destroy not just economy, the health of the nation. It should not be
Yeah,
pardoned with. It should
absolutely.
not be pardoned with. That is why I'm asking you these questions. What would be the causes? How do you rate? Now you have seen all those Bollywood sons, the famed sons, and another upcoming actor lost his life. Still, we don't know. The investigation is on. And now, even Hyderabad, you have seen Delhi, they have been caught in various locations. The drug abuse happening, drug cartels, and they have seized. How do you look at this scenario? What, how, why these children are getting addicted, or for that masses are getting addicted? What would be the causes? Then, as a police officer, IPS, do you think it is the failure of the law regulating authority? I, as a doctor into journalism, I always say prevention is better than cure. Since 2016, November 8th, when it has already been identified as the second largest scourge of this nation, why is that in Adani's port in west part of India, such huge seizure, and we don't know what other ports are happening? Daily we come to here and this airport, that airport. How to combat this, and who should be held responsible? Because if that is being made available and these children are getting madly addicted and enjoying it, destroying their life, society, happiness, and the health and wealth of the nation.
Yes, Dr. Shiva Prasad, I'm glad that you have encapsulated everything that I said so far. Now, let us look at some of these causes you have mentioned. My feeling is that for a youngster to be exposed to a few friends who are taking drugs, and which is becoming increasingly common now, because a lot of these youngsters are doing drugs. So there is this sense to fit in. When you want to fit in to a certain style of living alongside your friends, then you will like to do what the friends are doing. So there is a peer pressure that is there. Secondly, doctors tell us, and it is now recognized, that this is a disease. This afflicts not everybody. In the same family, you will find one brother doing it and three other brothers not doing it, or a sister not doing it. So it is a disease which impacts particular persons, not everybody. So that disease has to be understood as something which has to be treated by a trained expert, a doctor who knows how to deal with drug addicts. Then the important thing is that we must not glorify this particular thing. Look at the advertisements that we see. We're talking about Bollywood films. Look at the advertisements of, say, we see bagpiper soda, and every fool knows that this is not actually about bagpiper soda or the Kingfisher Club soda. We all know that he is not talking about, or she is not, or they are not dancing because they are having soda. Each one of us knows that all this dance and drama is basically based on selling things like liquor. Now, if this kind of advertisement goes on, a youngster will be impressed by these things. A third thing is that such behavior should not be glorified. I say this because, for instance, if I go and recover 10 kgs of a drug today, the newspaper will report the next day that such and such police officer recovered 10 kgs of such and such drug, costing rupees 1 crore. Now, there the projection is about the money this 10 kg brings. Now, a lot of people will think that if it's just a matter of 10 kgs, my life will change if I am able to just manage this 10 kg summer. I'll get a crore and that will be enough for me for a long time to come.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll have a fine life thereafter. So, in my opinion, the projection should be that such and such police officer or any other officer has caught 10 kgs of a drug, and the culprit who has been caught with this drug is likely to be sentenced to 10 years rigorous imprisonment.
Wonderful.
In some cases, the NDPS Act prescribes that a person should be hanged to death. So that should also be told to the public that this offense carries the death penalty with it. So if such things are told to the public, they will think twice before they attempt the same thing themselves. This is the third. And the fourth is the reducing control of elders who are there in the family. Every young man, even woman, wants to rebel, wants to do something different from what the parents tell him or her to do. And this is encouraged more and more by the way we see the media around us.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why a lot of people are misinformed about drugs is the social media. What you read on social media has got to be very seriously examined for its authenticity. But we sort of accept whatever we read on WhatsApp, whatever we read on other social media, and we seem to feel that we know everything about these things.
Yeah.
But that misinformation which we have gone through is one of the serious causes for the problem.
Yeah.
Also, lastly, it is a lack of knowledge amongst the authorities, amongst even the doctors. I know of doctors who say that do jhapad lagao theek ho jayega. You know, their feeling is that the best way is to give 2 slaps and the person will be all right. Even doctors say sometimes some things like this. So we have a lack of experts to deal with problems like these. These are very specific problems, doctor, and there should be specific experts to deal with this, both for weaning a person away from drugs and then looking after the rehabilitation of that person.
And don't you think, last one I asked you, is it a failure of the administration in not preventing such huge quantity of drugs entering India, or even if you are trying to grow even under the license, even that also being easily made available to the society?
See, I think we'll talk about this in some other
Right. No problem.
session,
Yes.
because this is a larger question.
Yeah, wonderful.
How the administration has failed. But the fact remains that basically the administration fails for 2 reasons. One, the enemy is too powerful to be easily handled, and the authorities are not given adequate powers to deal with such offenders.
Yes, as you rightly said, we'll come back to the. Yeah.
Secondly, corruption. Corruption.
Right.
A lot of money is involved, and therefore our friends are stolen away from the right path, and they operate for somebody else.
Wonderful, sir. I only hope now we will try to say bye to all. And I should thank you from the bottom of my heart. You are all rich experience. At least I hope it will enlighten, embolden the society. Now, don't glorify watching daily these news channels or social media. Oh, what is happening to Shah Rukh Khan's son, or what is happening to so and so, Rajput and all.
Yeah.
Don't wait till it comes to your house. We should all become responsible to see that our children are not weaned away into such vices which will destroy their health. First, it is health. You have to remember their health. In doing so, the family's economy, family's finances. Subsequently, this society will be at unrest. There will not be any order in the society. You are prone to do so many things which are very illegal, which are very going to be inhuman, which will be definitely against your own human sense, because that will benumb your brain. दम्माराधम नहीं, दम्माराधम इन लोगों को जो ने इस दवाइयों को सप्लाई कर रही है, और हम चाहते हैं कि हमारे बच्चों को इस तरह की चीज़ों से हम दूर रखें, उनको समझाएं, उनको इससे क्या आपको किस तरह की बाधा पहुंचेगी आपको। सो ये सब जो है आपके माइंड में रहना चाहिए। सो आई earnestly request all the parents across India. Now something has seriously happened. Big hole seizure in western coast, Adani's port. Likewise, we do not know what is happening. Even we have seen Delhi, Hyderabad. No city is safe. Even the bishop in Pala had to come out with stating that they are being weaned away by this nasha. Goa, the minister stated, I could not play his statement, stating that we will not allow such type of drug addicts into Goa. We just let us take. So that is the reason why let us all come together, stop children getting addicted, or wean them away from these vices, and then fight. If it is being made available in the society, bring it to the notice of the officials. And we are all there. We are just a call away from you. I will bring you on the live show. I will connect you if officials are also not hearing, because this is the second biggest scourge, as our Honorable Prime Minister of India pointed out on November 8, 2016. First, black money, but that black money is clearly explained by Mr. Aloke Lal, interlinked with this drugs. They are destroying our economy, our health, our future, our present and future. So many crimes, right from traffic to rapes, murders, and say bye to such type of films who are showing, or we are trying to glorify. And even also government or media also has rightly pointed a very apt point. If 10 kgs is seized by a officer, you mention the name, along with that the amount of punishment, not the amount of money, which is luring all these alienated sections, all those failures to get into that profession. So kindly don't show money. 1,000 crores, 4,000, don't. 10 kgs, officer's name, and what is the, under what section they can be booked. What is the capital punishment? Of course, it should be as per rule of law, invoking evidential act. Until proved no one is guilty. We are empathetic, sympathetic to the society. We understand what it will be going through those parents' minds. So let us understand, let us not glorify such type of things. Instead, let us all become responsible. Because until and unless you understand that you are the citizen with a constitutional authority, you yourself is a constitution. We have together constituted ourselves as a constitutional authority, and we have formed a democracy, unlike other democracies. That is why we are called republic. So every citizen, हर एक नागरिक जो है एक संविधान है. You are a constitution by itself. When you laugh at others, you are laughing at your own self, because together we constitute. That should be our strength. Unitedly, let us overcome this evil of drug once for all. That's why the caption is very clear. Shun drugs, save lives. That is what Dr. TSPR channel. And tomorrow you can find retelecasting on Citizens Dr. TSPR channel at 11 a.m. And there is another Environment People Dr. TSPR channel. Kindly support, subscribe, and share, and be with Dr. TSPR channel with wonderful guests like Mr. Aloke Lal. We are going to do a series with him with his rich experience and the way he could combat the drug cartels, because we will be needing his experience to make society to get enlightened. At the same time, those officers who are dealing with that, they will also get sensitized how to deal, what are the sections. That is why I was appealing to our Honorable Union Home Minister, judiciously utilize his experience to train those young officers in Dehradun, because he is placed in Dehradun itself. Wonderful. Sir, very kind of you with your blessings. Thanks a lot. See you soon with another series.
Thank you.
Take care across India. we all say Sukha Nidra Shubharatri, and to the world over, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Take care, stay healthy. Thank you, sir.
Namaskar.